Listen to this. Toni Braxton wasn't just popular. She was a full-blown legend, a real R&B powerhouse, singer, songwriter, and hitmaker with a voice that dominated the 90s. A lot of younger viewers might only recognize her from reality TV or that very public relationship with Birdman. But hold up, we gotta rewind before all of that. Let's take it back to the early 90s. Toni was discovered while she was literally singing to herself at a gas station. No industry plug, no viral moment, just pure, raw talent. Her debut album dropped in 1993 and went absolutely crazy. We're talking about $170 million in global sales, 3 Grammys off the first album alone. That's superstar status right out the gate. But behind all that shine, trouble was already brewing, and it gets personal fast. Now let's talk about the song that had the whole world in a chokehold, Unbreak My Heart. Yeah, that one. But hold up, because you've got to understand the era it dropped in. There was no YouTube, no streaming, no instant replay whenever you felt like it. If you wanted to catch that video, you had to sit in front of VH1, BET, or MTV and wait like it was life or death. And I'm telling you, even as a kid, when that song came on, everything stopped. Volume up, room quiet, emotions on 10. To this day, that record still makes people reach for the volume button. I can close my eyes and see that whole video like it's etched into my memory. Toni on the motorcycle, the breakup scenes, the twister game, heartbreak in every frame. She wasn't just crying in one spot either. She was crying in the living room, the hallway, the shower, straight emotional devastation. Then she's on stage with a full orchestra, singing the same song and crying all over again. That wasn't just a hit record. That was a cultural moment, a certified classic. Now here's where things take a wild turn. This is a woman who helped generate $170 million from her debut, won 7 Grammys, 9 Billboard Music Awards, and 7 American Music Awards. With numbers like that, you've got to ask the real question. How does someone like that end up on a bankruptcy breakdown? Yeah, it gets serious. Let's dig into the numbers. This is where the story takes a sharp left. Toni didn't file for bankruptcy once. She filed twice. Yeah, twice. Both times under Chapter 7, which is the most extreme type there is. This isn't restructuring or reorganizing. This is full liquidation. This is the kind of bankruptcy that makes people's stomachs drop when they hear the word. Chapter 7 wipes out most of your debt and gives you a fresh start. The trade-off? Your credit takes a heavy hit. You walk away free of the debt, but the financial scars stay with you. Her first filing came in 1998, and this is where a familiar pattern starts showing up. Predatory contracts, bad deals, shady paperwork, and artists signing agreements they were never truly protected in. That theme shows up again and again, especially with R&B and hip-hop artists. The money comes in fast, but the contracts quietly drain it even faster. Then it happens again in 2010. Same contract issues, but now there's another problem on top of it, serious health issues. Those problems forced her to shut down her Las Vegas residency. And those Vegas shows, that's high-ticket, high-volume money. So imagine this, the income stops, but the medical bills keep coming. No shows, no steady cash, and expenses piling up. That's a double hit straight to the chest. Now let's talk real numbers. According to her 2010 filing, her reported income was about $57,850 per month, and this is where it gets interesting. That income was strong on paper. Almost $58,000 a month sounds solid. Around $55,000 of that came directly from her work as a recording artist. She was also receiving about $2,000 in child support, plus a very small amount from royalties. And when I say small, I mean small. Once again, those contracts weren't doing her any favors. Here's the part most people miss. That $55,000 wasn't passive income. That wasn't mailbox money. Those weren't checks rolling in while she slept. That money came from live performances. She had to travel, rehearse, and sing for every dollar. No show, no check. And we'll circle back to that because it matters. Now let's look at the expenses. Her monthly costs were about $57,230, almost identical to her income. Do the math. Bringing in $57,850 and spending $57,230 is the textbook definition of living paycheck to paycheck. And this part's important. People think living paycheck to paycheck only happens at lower income levels, like it's just a regular person problem. Nah, this proves it can happen at any level. You could be scraping by on $50,000 a year or barely hanging on nearly $60,000 a month. And you can be barely hanging on even when millions are coming in every year. The big number alone won't rescue you. The strategy behind it will. So where was all that cash actually going? Listen to this, because this is where it turns ugly. A huge portion of her monthly expenses was headed straight to the IRS. We're talking about $24,500 every single month just to handle old tax debt. Let that sink in for a second. Now here's the real issue, and a lot of people miss this part completely. If you already owe the IRS so much that your payment plan costs over $24,000 a month, how much money is really left to cover your current taxes? Think about it, because this is the trap. To afford a $24,500 monthly payment, you've got to be earning serious income. But if that income is swallowed by old tax bills, where does the money come to pay the taxes on what you're earning right now? That's the double hit. That's how people slide into a tax spiral they can't climb out of. And this right here proves why tax planning matters. This isn't optional. This is pocket-watching rule number 5. Tax planning or disaster. Skip it, and you end up buried in IRS debt just like this. Now, she did have other expenses, too. One thing that stands out immediately is that she only reported about $1,000 a month in mortgage payments. Even in 2010, that number looks shockingly low. And yeah, there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it next. Now let's talk about the property itself. According to the bankruptcy filing, the home was valued at $1.2 million. And even back in 2010, a $1,000 monthly mortgage on a property worth that much just doesn't make sense. The math looks shaky at best. But hold up, this isn't speculation or guessing. That's exactly what was listed in the official bankruptcy paperwork. So we've got to go with what was filed. Now yes, technically that real estate was an appreciating asset. Property usually increases in value over time. Sounds good on paper, right? But here's the catch. That property was buried under heavy liens. We're talking IRS liens, creditor liens, and other claims tied to her debts. So yeah, it looked good on the surface, but financially it was locked up. An asset like that can't save you if everyone else already has a claim on it. Now let's move to the depreciating assets. This is the stuff that starts losing value the second you buy it. Her personal property was listed at about $421,000. That included things like a 1995 Porsche, a 2005 GMC Yukon, plus household goods, clothes, and jewelry. Nice items, sure, but they don't build wealth. They lose value over time. And now, brace yourself, because this part sounds unreal, but it's straight from court records. Her total liabilities, her debts, were over $18 million. Yeah, $18 million. And here's the part people really need to understand. This wasn't just reckless shopping or wild spending. This traces back to contracts, obligations, penalties, and systems that were stacked against her from the start. And that's the real story behind those numbers. And here's where this story dives even deeper. All right, let's break down exactly how this mess came to be. These contracts were straight-up disasters, no cap, the kind of deals that trapped R&B and rap stars for decades. According to the bankruptcy filings, over $16 million was owed to Arista Records and Atlantic Records combined. Yeah, $16 million. That number alone tells you all you need to know about how the music business really works. And this is exactly why we keep revisiting this topic on Bankruptcy Breakdown. The artist makes the cash, but the contracts decide who actually pockets it, and 9 times out of 10, it's not the artist. Now, peep her other debts. She owed the IRS roughly $734,000, covering tax years 2007, 2008, and 2009. That's 3 straight years of unpaid taxes stacking up. On top of that, she had some consumer debt, too. And this one's on her. Tiffany's, about $15,000. Neiman Marcus, nearly $7,000 in credit card charges. Light stuff compared to what comes next, because City National Bank gets serious. She owed them over $657,000 total. About $52,000 was regular credit card debt, but the real kicker was a line of credit of over $657,000. And here's the lesson. It doesn't matter how much you make, you can get addicted to spending other people's money fast. Credit feels harmless until it quietly takes control. Debt should never be the bridge between what you don't have and what you want right now. Credit needs to be protection, not permission. If the money isn't in the bank, it shouldn't be spent. That mindset separates control from collapse. I use credit for security and convenience, period. It should never feel like extra money because it's not yours, it's the bank's. And trust me, they want it back, with interest stacked on top. That never skips. Now let's keep going because the expenses don't stop. She had legal fees totaling almost $80,000, about $76,180 to be exact. And here's where I raise an eyebrow. If these were her lawyers, what exactly were they doing? Why was she trapped in these horrible record contracts? Why buried under IRS debt? Something doesn't add up. That leads to business management. She owed them around $12,000. And again, I gotta ask, what service did she actually get? Proper management should include tax planning. If someone's doing their job, you're not cutting $24,000 monthly checks to the IRS.